Y'all remember hearing about Chandler Riggs buying a house in Sonoy? So this is an old church house. It used to be a church back in the day. Was an actual church, been renovated and converted into a house. That's the one they bought, but that was not the one that they were living in. This they were renting out on Airbnb. They decorated it with Walking Dead art, stuff like that. Cool. And they had a Walking Dead pinball machine in there. This was also in a movie. Y'all know Pet Cemetery 2?
Yeah.
The second movie. This is the church in that movie.
Oh my gosh.
And then we do also have a gravesite on this property. If you look right over here,
Oh.
I see it.
it's an old Civil War veteran who's buried out there. So if you want a house to buy with your own graveyard, you know, there you go. Of course, Chandler got fired. Well, his dad was, keep in mind, Chandler was about to change from being a minor to being an adult. And his dad was looking after his son and trying to play hardball on the salary, trying to get him a bump in salary. And the thing is, it wasn't just a mild amount. He was trying to get him the same amount as Andy and Norman and all that.
Right.
And they went back and forth, and he even threatened, he's like, if he doesn't get it, my kid's going to college. And at some point, Scott Gimple said, okay, send your kid to college. He's done. So that's essentially the basics of what happened. Dad tried to play hardball, and they wouldn't play, so. We got Yesterday's, which is a good restaurant. Highly recommend it. My daughter works there, so. My oldest daughter. All right, so this is one of those spots where we're going to hop away from season 3. We're hopping to season 7, and if you remember back when Tara washed up on the beach at the Oceanside community, she ended up having to escape because they were going to kill her, and you know, can't keep her around. We just got to do what we got to do, and she escapes. On her way back, she finds a beach gift shop. Where she holds up for the night.
Yes.
And she found the doctor bobblehead for Denise, and found her sunglasses and all that stuff. The Georgia Market, the old wood building, that is that beach gift shop.
Okay.
So they had a couple artists, they had an artist come out and paint the back window right there that's kind of obscured on the corner with the sunglasses, curios. Actually, my wife used to work there at that shop. And since she worked at the shop, she got guest passes for us for the day, so we got to be on set and watch filming that day.
Cool.
And so they set up a little bus next to the tree to kind of block out Sonoy from the background. And we've got Alon Masterson, Tara, right next to the building. She steps up onto the porch, looks into the window, and if you remember in the scene, when she looks in the window, in the reflection, we see walkers going by. Well, those guys started out over here on this side of the property. There were about 4 or 5 of them. The director gave the cue. They started walking across the lot this direction.
This way.
And then she goes inside. Before they filmed, they came in and they set it up all nice and neat. They brought in product, pool noodles and sunglasses and all that stuff. Set it up looking all nice and neat on the shelves like you would see in a normal store. And then afterwards, when they were done filming, we came in and everything was a wreck. They had torn up the pool noodles and the gift packs of seashells that were broken up and scattered everywhere. So we're running around picking up seashells, and we got our own little collection.
You have your own museum? We going there next?
Yeah, I know. And you know, so we're like thinking, oh my God, what happened in here? You know, is this like Tara's death scene or something?
Oh my gosh.
What we kind of found out later was when they were done here, they hopped her into a cast van and they went down to Alexandria. And the next thing we see is her walking up to Alexandria and Eugene telling her that Denise is gone. They filmed that immediately after this scene, so that was all done on the same day.
Wow.
But anyway, that was the beach gift shop. So.
Oh gosh, what is this?
Now they had this street blocked off and have been doing some filming down here with these brick buildings. We believe this is going to be part of the Commonwealth here.
Yeah, it's kept up pretty nice. And they're kept up pretty nice.
Princess has been seen here. Paula has been all over town. She like pops up here and there. She's been pretty active.
I want to see her.
Sorry. Now take you back to the 80s and a movie that was done here where we see the bridge and we see the house. Y'all remember fried green tomatoes?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the fried green tomatoes.
That's what's that? Iggy's house.
Iggy,
And,
yes.
where they had the little tree fort in the tree. Well, the tree's gone now.
Okay.
But that was right here where they had their little fort. And then you had Buddy and the girls up on the bridge. The hat blows off of one of them. Buddy goes after it. He gets his foot caught in the tracks and gets hit by a locomotive down here on the tracks.
Down there.
So this was filmed here. The Conjuring 3 was filmed here.
Oh gosh, I've got to watch
And
it.
it's like, okay, less than a month after the owner passed away. That sounds like the start of a horror movie to me. So, had a couple scenes here. We had Carol, Tyrese, and the girls walking down the tracks, and they see their terminus map, terminus sign nailed up on the side there, and they decide to go for terminus.
Okay.
But then we're back with Glenn and Tara separating from Abraham, Eugene, and Rosita. I remember Glenn wanted to go find Maggie, pretty intent on it. Now, if you were here for that filming, for Carol and Tyrese, it was just this. It was just a regular bridge. But if you came out here during the Glenn and Tara scene, if you were on this side, all you would have seen was a big black tarp because they built a train tunnel. So, see, we got the girls coming up to the bridge there for that.
Okay.
So another view of the Carol, Tyrese, and the girls. And what they did on the other side of the bridge was they shaped that all up with styrofoam and plywood and whatever else they make to make it look like there's a train bridge. The tarp and everything up.
Yeah.
So what it looked like at the time. A lot of the foliage here, they filled it in with some additional CGI foliage. It was only, maybe 10 feet deep, and just enough where they could film them walking into the tunnel.
Yeah.
And then all the interior scenes were done over at the studio.
Okay.
So this church down the street here, they use that for the Fighting Temptations with Cuba Gooding Jr. and Beyonce. So they filmed on the outside, and then they recreated the inside of the church over at the studio. The church here is really kind of tiny inside.
Wow.
And they couldn't fit that huge choir and everything that they had, so they rebuilt it at the soundstage. So that was right over here. And then driving Miss Daisy, who's been around here, they would drive around on our back streets and stuff like that.
One of my favorite movies.
So there's another good view of the tracks. You can imagine them walking down around the tracks, seeing the bridge or the train tunnel. So. And of course, nothing this way. Can't go very far. But another couple of scenes that were done here. One was with, if you remember, Lizzie was feeding a rat to a walker on the tracks.
And he was.
That was right down here. Another scene is with what appeared to be this walker comes out of the woods up onto the railroad tracks. And a rumor kind of started out. People started buzzing about it because this walker looked a lot like Andrea. And then Carol takes out that walker because it's the costume is exactly what Andrea was wearing. She had a handcuff on her wrist, on one wrist.
I never. Oh, I got to go back and watch that.
What we found out was that scene with her coming out with half her face blown off as a walker. That was the original end to Andrea.
Right.
That's what they filmed back in season 3. They did the ending that we see with her in the torture chamber. Milton dies. She dies by taking herself out. Everybody's around her. Oh, poor Andrea.
Because she didn't want to turn. She was.
Yeah.
But then she's. Yeah.
What really happened? Yeah. So they did that, and then later on they stuck that little clip in there, just kind of like a here, take that.
Yeah.
A red herring.
Yeah. It's kind of like a little thing. Yeah, and of course, Laurie Holden wanted to, in the comic book, Andrea and Rick are together at one point, and Laurie Holden wanted to play that storyline out. So if you look straight ahead across the street,
Alexandria.
coming up on the main gate there, we have about 6 or 7 families living inside of there. And this is where they come in and out for the most part. Later on, when they have the spikes set up down there, you know, there were some houses, some burnt up buildings over to the side. They cleared those out after the early days, after Negan, and then they set up like this spiked, thank you, this spiked gate and all that. That was set up down here.
Okay.
If you look under the tree here, the little box truck that's parked under the tree,
Yeah.
that's the one we see in the scenes out here with the blue stripes going down the side. Okay. What they do is they pull that out onto the street, and that blocks out this operating business over here. These guys are operating business. They got to film at the main gate. How do we address that?
Right.
We just block it out. See a little guard shack set up there. It's sitting on top of a little trailer, so when they want to film, they just tow that out of the way. And so talking about how badly Andy drives, we were out here until about 3, 4 in the morning one night, watching filming down the street. And they had this white SUV here, and they kept, you know, driving to the gate, and then they'd reset for the scene to film it again. And we saw Andy and we saw Norman, and both of them are hopping into this SUV and driving down to the gate. And what we found out was that was the night that they brought Jesus back to Alexandria. So Jesus was knocked out in the back seat with
And Rick
Norman.
kept.
And the thing is, what was funny is he would never back up the car. He would only drive it forward, and then one of the PAs would back it up back to the starting position. So it's like, okay, maybe he does really stink as a driver.
That's really bad driving. I've heard that he and Norman equally were pranksters on set.
And honestly, I think Norman got the upper hand. He was really...
That's funny. Now, did he stay in his American accent on set, like, as much as he could on set, even when he was talking to other people? I heard that too, because he didn't want to lose it.
A lot of the actors did that, so, you know,
The British,
they just kept it going. So the Southern accent is the easiest accent for British actors to...
I noticed. It's because we're slow and twangy, and they can draw it out. We'll take it as a compliment.
Yeah, exactly.
The windmill!
Windmill, yeah.
The windmill! Oh, so those people are like, leave us alone. They live there.
There is a house inside for sale right now.
How much?
If you're looking to live in the mother of all gated communities,
Yeah, really.
$795,000, I believe is what they're looking for. Yeah, so the condition you see there, that's just set decoration.
Oh,
They
okay.
came out and they banged it all up.
Okay.
And that is not actual burning, that's spray paint.
Oh, okay.
And that was never actually on fire. Still, you've seen the beginning of season 11.
Yes.
And we see that this is already in this condition.
Right.
So we haven't seen exactly what's happened with the windmill and stuff like that.
Okay.
But it looks like we're going to go get a flashback to what was going on here. Because they came out one night, they had a fire truck out here.
Oh.
They must have been doing some sort of pyrotechnic work if the fire truck was here. We saw some smoke coming up from inside, and there were a whole ton of red lights that were on. So, you know, red lights to kind of support the idea of a big fire going on inside. And now what it is now, we've got this on the inside. Well, this is before it got burned up and everything during the current season and stuff. These buildings are what we are looking at the back of.
Oh, okay.
So camera angle is coming our direction.
Oh, okay.
What's missing in the background?
This street.
Not just the
Those
street.
houses.
All
of
the
it.
houses, so that's all
Yeah.
CGI back then.
Well, if you remember, they kind of learned, because in that scene with Enid and Glenn, if you remember, they had the green balloons
all this
and
out.
they let the green balloons go.
Uh-huh.
Well, as they show the green balloons floating away, in that shot, you see the warehouse building there, and you see the water tower in the background.
Oh.
So you basically see Woodbury, and it's like, wait a minute, you guys are in Virginia. How are you guys seeing that? So we got to CGI that stuff out and blank it out. And before this, the early days of Alexandria, this is what it was looking like.
Yep.
Okay.
So before the windmill and stuff like that. These two set buildings here, red and gray roof, they were sitting right where the windmill is right now.
Okay.
The solar panels were over there on that side of the community. Solar panels right here. The tower here, which fell into the wall. You got the lake back behind.
Set on fire.
The brownstones where, Daryl blew up the lake, set it up on fire. And then what it used to look like as the church. And after Negan's attack, they removed the steeple and they turned it into the community building and all that. So it's pretty cool, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Alexandria.
There's one house for sale, y'all.
yeah.
Come on.
It's here to touch the wall.
You better get my picture.
We don't ask for much.
We're like,
So,
we're easily pleased.
Right. Oh my God, yes.
so through this gate, this is where my girl Judith brought
Yeah.
Our new.
our newest
Yep.
cast members.
Yep.
Their wagon and all that good stuff.
Oh yeah.
So they came in through here. We've seen Michele return back to town on horseback and
Like a
come in through
badass.
this gate. And in that
Shoo.
scene, when she hops off, there's some walkers following her.
Right.
And she goes to close the gate, and there's a walker that gets too close. Its face gets caught on the latch, and it starts peeling its face off.
Uh-huh.
That was the scene that you see right here. Usually we had, where the board is, we had that other Welcome to Alexandria song up here. When Maggie came back, she comes up, she's getting ready to come into Alexandria. She looks down here, down the side yard here, and see that bright panel towards the middle?
Yeah.
And the other panels on each side of it look kind of burnt.
Right.
That's where the hole was in the wall that they were repairing. And she walks down there, and they're like, Whisperers left us a gift or whatever. And, you know, she goes walking inside, and right on the other side of the wall, there's Negan working as well. And got that awkward, tense moment with her and Negan there.
Yeah.
As she's walking in. So that was right there.
All right. I'm gonna touch the gate. You take a picture of me touching the gate.
Oh my God.
This is important.
Now, if you look over here where the pallet is with the little white cooler on top there, notice there's a sheet of metal underneath it too. That is where, if you remember, Sadiq and Carl jumped into a manhole.
Oh yeah.
Into those storm drains. That is where that set piece was.
Okay.
And you know, it was just it looked like concrete.
It did.
The whole cover sitting on top of that. And they had only dug down maybe 2 or 3 feet down into the ground so they could stick their legs in the hole, make it look like they're going down into
Way down. That's cool.
into the tunnels. So that's where that was actually set up. Another thing over at that gate, when Negan attacked that night and the Heapsters escaped with their garbage trucks, that's the gate they busted out of. They came driving through that gate and then came out here and hung a left and came this way. Rick and Carl hit the road after the prison fell. Everybody split up in different directions, and Rick and Carl find a house to hole up in.
Oh, okay.
And this is where, when the claimers showed up, Rick is hiding
Right there.
Okay, yeah.
And this is their safe house. They said to watch Rick's face as they're pushing the couch up to the door, because apparently there's like a real brief look of surprise on his face. Because what happened was, when they were pushing the couch up to the door, they accidentally scratched up their wood floor there.
Oh, okay.
Like, oops. So it's kind of one of those things. Norman Reedus had been seen out here on set that day when the filming was going on. Well, the episode came on, and Norman is nowhere in the scene, so why was he here? And as Rick is very serious and trying to play the role of his escape from the claimers, Norman is just off to the side out of camera shot, and he's mooning Andy, trying to get him to break character.
Of course.
Oh God.
More of their pranks
I
going
love
on,
it.
so.
On his day off, he didn't even have to be on the set, and he wants to do that. That's classic.
Yep.
My husband will push it. Just keep going. Baby, get out and push the cart. He's like, yeah. You're charging back up. Woohoo.
So Carl finds another house. He goes inside and gets into the kitchen. Up on the top shelf, there's a nice big 6-pound can of chocolate pudding sitting up there. Grabbing that down. Then he goes upstairs. There's a walker inside one of the bedrooms. Gets in a struggle with the walker. Finally gets out of the room and writes on the door, "Walker inside, got my shoe, didn't get me." And he comes out and enjoys his prize pudding on the roof of this house right over here. This is the pudding house.
Awesome.
That front corner bedroom that we're looking at that's closest to us, that's where he was in the struggle with the walker. The walker was in that room reaching out his arm when he's out there eating his pudding and all that stuff. Back when the filming was going on here, this was really a vacant house. Somebody else owned it. They weren't really living there, and you know, they had just let them use it for the filming. Michele finds her way to them, and they all rejoin and reunite, and then they decide they're going to stay at the safe house for a while. Carl and Michele get together. They decide they're going to go out for another supply run, and they're hitting a few houses, and then they get into one house where Michele made her way through, and then she finds a pink room where there's a family inside that, you know, basically took themselves out. They checked out. Pretty rough scene. That house is the gray house that's overgrown on the front down here on the right. So with all that overgrowth on the porch, they were coming from the house on the other side, on the lot on the other side, coming up to this house. They walked up onto that front porch and went right inside the house, and then they found that pink room in there. To the right, just on the inside, there's a blue house in there. That was Pete and Jesse's home, where they were residing. And on the other side of that gate is where Cross Street is, and that intersection is where Rick and Pete had their big blowout fight, right there at the other side of that gate there. So
This is it.
Y'all remember last episode of season 10?
Yes.
Yeah.
Here's
Mr.
Negan.
and Mrs. Smith. This was Mr. and Mrs. Smith's house.
Yep.
And of course, at the end of that, they ended up burning up the house, right? Obviously, it looks perfectly fine.
I was
right?
going to say.
So just more of that computer work and stuff like that. Now, when they were out here filming, this side of the house was blocked off with a big tarp. And from what I was told, they had some extra lights like shining into the windows that are right there. And then also, this place was supposed to have had a basement. This house does not have a basement.
Oh, okay.
So that might have been some of our staircase going down into the basement as he went through the door. That's probably how they were setting it up to look. Now this is the corner where Negan was fighting off that walker. He was right there at the front corner. And then Lucille comes around. She comes walking around the front and then shoots that walker right there. Now what they had on the brick wall, if you look at the brick wall down beneath real careful, you'll see rectangular outlines that are a little bit darker. What they had done is they glued on a couple of windows there to make it look like the place has a basement. They try to keep it as consistent as possible. And then around back is where they had that generator running and stuff like that. So and back in the backyard there. Jumping back to Rick, Michele, and Carl leaving the safe house behind. You know, they escape from the claimers, and eventually they get onto the railroad tracks, traveling the tracks for a little while, and they run across this train car with the big banner on it, Sanctuary for All, those who arrive survive. These train cars were set up on the tracks right over here. So this is where they just walk down real quick, film them looking at the car, pretty short scene, and they decide to head on down the tracks towards Terminus. Plus I think there was a little, do you smell barbecue? It smells pretty good, let's go check it out. So, when they were filming that night, the night that Chandler revealed that he got bit, and you know, Negan is attacking the place, blowing the place up, we were right out here watching the filming that night.
Oh, cool.
And they set off a couple explosions inside, smoke starts pouring out, and
Wow.
and we see the some of what was going on. And of course we did see the dump trucks come out, the garbage trucks come out of that gate and head off down the road there. And who we ran into that night standing out here as well was Chandler's dad. He had to watch from the outside. Remember, Chandler turned 18. Parent or guardian wasn't needed anymore. He was no longer allowed to be on set. You know, he's hanging out here, and we were talking with him. He's always been super nice. Anytime I ran across him, I ran across him a number of times because he actually did his own walking tour here for a while.
Cool.
He would take you around town and share his stories of being on set with Chandler and stuff like that, and the things that were going on. We're all goofing around too, and you know, because we were a little tipsy, we had just gotten done eating at Nick and Norman's, and we're all goofing around out here. And then later on, we kind of thought about it. It's like, oh wait, that's where he.
Yeah, he's dying.
This building here, this is where the governor's torture chamber was.
Oh.
This is where Andrea and Milton died, and where Merle, Brooklyn, and Maggie kept them captive inside here. Coming along the front wall here, we got Carl, Enid, and I always forget her name, from the Kingdom.
Oh yeah.
And they're walking along the front of the building. Carl gets to the corner right here, takes a quick peek around the corner, and they cut from that scene. It's just a really short shot. But with this shot, we've now seen all 4 sides of this building, plus the inside between seasons 3 and up to this point. And then the opening was like right where the median is, pretty much lined up with it. And we had another trailer kind of coming off to the side here, and they had it all blocked in. But again, you see the garbage all over the place. If you notice, we had different awnings, and they covered up the sign to say Woodbury Coffee House. So they made up new signs and put those up. If you go into McMaster Barbecue, you will see one of those signs hanging up inside. Now what used to be right next door, you see the big brick building next to the Masonic Lodge there? At the time, during season 3, that was just a vacant lot. And so they took advantage of that and they set this up there. And then when they did this scene with him standing out front and everything being burned down, he was not standing out there at the same time that the burning was going on. It was 2 separate scenes, and they stitched it together to make it look like he was out there at the same time. Now, if you look across the street where Fox Hollow is over there, you see the giraffes standing out front? Those giraffes were normally taken off a set before filming started, but somebody forgot one day. And then one of the early opening scenes, where they show a shot of Woodbury down Main Street, you see some giraffes in the background.
Oh God!
Because of that, they became a little bit famous, and we've got names for them.
Oh, of course.
So the tall one, that's Michele. And the next one, if you look at him, he's got something wrapped around his head. He's got an eye patch on the other side, so that's Carl over
Well, they're best friends.
And they used to have a little baby one that we were calling Judith for a while, but she was for sale and they sold her. So up Masonic Lodge there. Now the little alley right here that's all overgrown with vines, that's known as Andrea's Alley. That's where her and Milton were going back and having secret conversation. Where the governor lived was up here on the 3rd floor. The only scene that was filmed here in town was from the outside, looking at him looking out the window. All the interiors were soundstage work over at the studio. So now, if you remember, at one point early on, Michele goes snooping around because she's suspicious of the governor, and she goes into his apartment, and as she's looking at stuff, finds the book. She hadn't found Penny yet. All of a sudden, there's a noise in the hallway. The governor and Merle show up. She goes into hiding. They're grabbing cases of beer to get ready for that big celebration. And when they leave, they cut back to where she was, and you see that she has climbed out the window. So there's like a fire escape, right? Notice that there is a fire escape here on the back side of this building. And right after that scene, the next thing we see is Michele walking down the stairs into the arena, where she found those caged up walkers. She breaks them out, slices and dices, has her fun with them. We see a guy getting munched on by a couple of walkers.
Oh yeah.
And Andrea comes up, takes out the walkers, no problem. But the guy's left alive. He's struggling. He got bit up. And the governor, looking out, he comes out the double doors there across the street, comes out and puts the guy out. Now, one of the walkers in that scene that Andrea took out was this guy right here. That's Greg Nicotero, executive producer, and he's the guy in charge of zombie special effects. He likes to get in there and show the other guys how a proper zombie
That's so
works.
Cool.
He was also one of the zombies in front of the dumpster when Gwen and Nicholas were up on the dumpster. He was up there reaching up for him. Right across here, you see a line of shopping carts stretched out across the road.
Oh yeah.
And Harold finds Morgan back here behind this yellow building here.
Okay, yeah, I see it.
There's another shot of Morgan there. So you see the yellow building there behind him. But folks from up here got this vantage point. This is what they saw.
Is he Shiva?
There you go.
Ah.
You got a guy crouched down with the leash off. Pretty funny stuff, but that's what it looked like out here at the time during the filming was going on. So that's pretty much it.
Don't dead, open inside. Remember when people kept saying that? I got all the king's men. I am Negan. They said not to write on the wall, and people are writing on the walls. Oh, there's Lucille. We're just going to look around for a second, and then I'm going to pick out something I want. We're just going to look around so y'all can see inside the store. If y'all aren't able to come out this way, you can see inside. Ooh, can't wait to hit this table. I definitely love collecting shot glasses, so I will be coming back for one of those. Probably a coffee mug or tumbler as well. Okay. Magnets, blankets.
Good.
Hi. Oh, hello.
That's new, isn't it?
Yeah. Where'd that go, Bella?
Right.
She's like, I'm trying to take in this.
I know. I'm like, let me video first, and then we're gonna shop.
Yeah, I want to get one from the house.
Oh, it was not too far.
Some more action figures, bobbleheads, a card game. Okay. That's it for now. We'll cut this video short. I've got some shopping to do. So I'll talk to y'all later.